Hey everyone, Dr. Joe Costello, the Foundation Doc, and today we're going to talk about what led to my knee replacement. Now, you may be thinking, well, why on earth did he have a knee replacement? Well, I'm going to tell you why. And I'm telling you this for a very particular reason. It's so you do not go down the same path that I went down, okay? Hopefully from this video, you get some knowledge that you're going to be able to take with you and correct those things before they turn into something major. Now, let's talk about the foot first. So we know the foot is a very complex structure. It is made of 26 bones, 30 different joints, and has over 100 different muscles, tendons, and ligaments. It forms the foundation of your entire body. We move on our feet, okay? It has to support all of our body weight. All right, so just how a foundation is important to a house, well, so are our feet. Our feet are our foundation. And what happens when we have a crack in our foundation? Well, we have things that happen all the way up the chain. The problem does not just stop at the feet. That's what we need to realize. Many people do not understand that if we have a problem in our feet, those forces then get transmitted all the way up the chain through our knees, our hips, our lower back, and some studies have even found that it affects the jaw. That's going all the way up the chain, believe it or not. I was a daredevil child. When I was about 10 years old, there was nothing that I thought I could not jump off of or ramp with my bicycle or skateboard. I gave my mother heartburn. I'm sure I did. I remember going down the street, standing up on my bicycle, one foot on the handlebars and another foot on the seat. And I would do that all the way down the street. Unfortunately, it always did not turn out the best for me. I had a lot of broken bones, 13 of them to be exact. So the majority of my broken bones were on the left leg. What happened is that left leg actually ended up growing at a faster rate than my right, and it never caught up with it. So consequently, I was left with one leg longer than the other. So my left leg is a little bit longer than my right leg. My right leg's a little bit shorter. Now that problem, though, began when I was a teenager, and I did not have the knowledge at the time to realize just how important it was to have two legs that were at least closer in length, okay? It's normal for us to have one leg longer than the other. That's perfectly normal and we get along just fine, but not to the extent that mine was, okay? It ended up having severe consequences that I'm going to tell you about that I've had to deal with now throughout the rest of my life. So you know how we were talking where I have one leg that's longer than the other? Well, I'm going to talk about what happens on the longer leg, and then we'll talk about what happens on the shorter leg and how those things, those changes that are occurring at your feet at the base level, how those affect everything else up the chain, okay? So let's first talk about what happens on the longer leg. Now, in my hand here, I have a plastic model of a foot. It is a right foot here, okay? We're looking down at the model here. Here's the big toe. Here's the little toe right here. I'm gonna turn it around so we're looking at the back here, okay? Now, here's the heel bone. This is the calcaneus, and this is the talus. This makes up part of the ankle joint right here. Now, we're going to talk about when you have this longer leg on the other side, what happens in your foot. We try to shorten that foot, okay? We try to shorten the longer leg, and we try to make the shorter leg longer to compensate. Here's what happens in this longer foot, okay? In the longer leg to make that leg shorter. Our heel bone right here goes in this direction. It goes outward just like that. That's called pronation. Okay, so it pronates at this subtalar joint just below the talus in like a manner like this. What happens then when that happens? This foot begins to flatten just like that. It gets real flat. Do you see that? So the arch collapses, but the foot rolls in. It's trying to shorten itself. Now we're going to show you on a real live person what actually happens on that longer foot, okay? Now, keep in mind, the foot that I'm going to show you, our model, does have flat feet, but that's not the point. The point is, I want to show you what happens to that heel bone and how those forces occurring down at the foot get transmitted up the chain. So watch this. If we take a look at his foot, we see that his foot here is very flat. He has a very flat foot, not much of an arch here, but more importantly, his heel bone that I showed you in the back, how that slips out on the model, that's exactly what is happening to his heel bone. It is slipping outward. What happens is, not only does that affect things down here at the foot, at that subtalar joint, but it travels upward and it has an effect at the knee. Remember, the feet form the foundation, and things that happen down here go all the way up the chain. So if we look at his knee, what happens when someone has a longer limb and they're trying to shorten that limb? They go into this subtalar joint pronation down here at the foot, and what happens is the knee then can go inward like this, in this direction. The effect that has on the knee can be devastating. In this case, it tightens this portion of the knee here, all these structures on the outside of the leg here, and it clamps down right here on this meniscus in the portion of the knee here, and it opens up things on the inside of the knee. Over time, it can wear out this cartilage and meniscus on this side of the knee, and that is not good. So we talked about what happens on the longer limb. We know the longer limb tries to shorten itself. Now let's talk about the shorter limb. In my case, it was my right leg. What was my right leg trying to do? Well, we're going to show you on our model what the right foot does to compensate for a shorter limb. So instead of falling the opposite way, where we open up the knee like this, okay, the knee falls in and we open up this cartilage on the inside, what the foot does on the shorter leg is it actually rolls to the outside. It's trying to lengthen. It does that, so we try to create a longer limb. Our body's smart. What happens though is those effects go all the way up the chain. Like I keep saying, your feet form the foundation of your body, and the effect that that has on the knee is it closes down here on this side of the knee, on the inside of the knee, and opens up on this side of the knee. So if it's closing down on this side of the knee, eventually that is going to lead to destruction of that meniscus and that cartilage there. That is going to progress to osteoarthritis, and that is exactly what happened to me. I eventually ended up with a knee replacement because I never got my limb length discrepancy taken care of. What I did for my shorter leg is I actually had to build up my shoe. So I took this to a shoe person here, and they cut open the sole of the shoe, and they put in, if you can see this strip here. It goes all the way from the back of the heel all the way to the front. And this is all one level length, but that brought my leg up, my shorter leg up. When that happened, my knees felt better. Now granted, I did this after the knee replacement, but I was also starting to have lower back pain, and when I did this too, got both legs the same length, my back pain eventually went away as well. So I hope you gleaned something from this video. If you're having any problems with your feet or ankles, I urge you to go see a foot and ankle specialist. They have advanced knowledge in this area, and they're going to be able to accurately diagnose your problem at an early age. That's what we want. We want early intervention. The earlier the better, so you do not end up going down this road that I went down that led to my knee replacement. So I hope you guys liked the video. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe. And thanks for watching. We'll deliver great content to you in the near future.